And maybe the main reason why I joined the gym was to deal with that insecurity.
I don't want to play with you anymore. You're ugly.
There are things about yourself that you do not like, and things about yourself that you cannot change. But that is completely natural. No one is perfect. Before I start, I just want to make it very clear that I am not a self-help guru where I'm going to tell you the things you should and should not do. I just want to share a few things that have honestly helped me. According to me, dealing with insecurities or being more confident is just a path or a medium to get the thing we actually want, and that is to be happy. It's a human emotion and a craving to love and be loved, and deep down we feel like being more confident or not having the insecurities will help us lead a happier life, and that is why we are so caught up in dealing with it. For example, you may know me as the Vivek who looks like this, but 6 years ago I looked like this. The good old days. I was a happy little kid who was enjoying his pizza, not knowing and caring how many calories were in it. And I was pretty happy, and that is mainly because you're not self-conscious. And then I grew up a little bit and I was like, shit, I'm fat. And soon I started blaming all my problems on that one insecurity. And honestly felt like dealing with that one insecurity will solve all of my problems. And the reason why I'm using this to describe my problems is because I was 14. What real problems would I have actually had?
I don't want to play with you anymore. You're ugly.
And maybe the main reason why I joined the gym was to deal with that insecurity, but then realized that more muscles does not equate to not having insecurities. I came across a study showing that body dysmorphia is highest among bodybuilders.
At first look, some of these guys seem like giants, their bodies chiseled out of stone. But although they may seem fit and healthy, around 1 in 10 are thought to be living with a condition that can destroy their lives.
So muscle dysmorphia is a preoccupation with the idea that one isn't big enough, isn't muscular enough, and that's causing them great levels of anxiety.
So basically what I'm trying to say is that you might feel like your insecurity or the thing that you feel is flawed about you is what is holding you back. But in most cases that is not the truth. Again, coming back to me, I don't need to be buff and muscular to be happy. You can always pretend that you are Zac Efron and run on the beach. I know I'm not as buff as a rock, nor as good looking as Zac Efron, but let me just have a moment, okay? The only person who's holding you back is you. True confidence comes from being happy with doing whatever you want without caring, kind of like how it was when we were kids. We didn't even know the meaning of stress, pressure and insecurities, and yet we were so confident in doing all the dumb, stupid things we did. I want to share 5 tips that helped me become more confident. The first one being the way you talk to yourself. Do you put yourself down or lift yourself up when you talk to yourself? Everybody talks to themselves in a certain way, and that will determine how you behave. This is a fun thing that I like to do. What do you think James Bond tells himself as soon as he wakes up? You can get any girl you want. You're the most meanest, baddest and the most handsome guy out there. Or, you, look at this pimple. Point number 2 is self-image. Everybody has certain beliefs about themselves which they believe to be true. And every experience that they go through either casts votes for or against that self-image. And soon that becomes your belief. If 10 people come up to you and say that you're beautiful, you'll actually start believing that you're beautiful. But the thing is that the opposite is also true. If 10 people come up to you and say that you're ugly, you'll also start believing that you're ugly. And that kind of negativity is something that we don't want. So that's why, as I mentioned earlier, your self-image about you is very important. If you have a strong self-image about you, no matter what people say, it won't get through to you. And if you are thinking, how do I change my self-image? You can use a technique called auto-suggestion, where basically you brainwash yourself and constantly repeat the things you want to do, have and become. And soon you will behave like the type of person who takes action which is required for you to become that type of person. A good example for this is millionaires who go broke are way more likely to rebound and become millionaires again. They see themselves as millionaires and then they take actions which are required for them to become millionaires again. A great example for this is Jordan Belfort, the real life Wolf of Wall Street, who was basically a multi-millionaire, but because of the illegal things he did in the stock market, went to prison.
I was guilty. I couldn't say I was trapped with this. I did it. I made a mistake. I took some great skills that I made the mistakes and I deserved to be there. So I had no one to blame but myself. I made the mistakes, and it's very difficult when you have to come to terms with that, right? certainly the worst time I mean, I lost all my money, I lost my freedom, I lost my children for a time, my wife bottomed out, right?
And later wrote a book about his lifestyle, including all the illegal things he did, called The Wolf of Wall Street. Sold the rights of the books to Paramount Pictures, who then made a movie out of it, directed by Martin Scorsese. Tip number 3. Asking yourself, what is the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen if I start a YouTube channel? I think the worst that can happen is that nobody will watch my channel. But also, on the other hand, the best case scenario is also possible. And in the best case scenario, I am a super successful YouTuber and is what I am placing my bets on. But let's say that things don't work out. But at least I won't regret not trying, you know. So if you are thinking whether or not to do something, ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? Initially, when it came to vlogging in public, I used to be very self-conscious. But then I asked myself, what is the worst that can happen? The only thing I can think of is people are going to judge you. And even if they do judge you, what is the worst that can happen? Nothing, right? It's not like you're going to die. So yeah. Point number 4 is surround yourself with people who believe in you. But before anybody believes in you, you should always believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in you, nobody else will. And also having a small group of close friends and family who actually truly believe in you makes a lot of difference. And for my family and friends who are watching, all I can say is thank you. And it really does mean a lot to me. And the last and the final tip is just do it. It's always fear that holds us back. And no matter how many videos you watch on YouTube on how to become confident and how to deal with insecurities, nothing really changes unless you start doing. Nothing really changes if you don't do anything about it and take action. But if you're scared to do something, just ask yourself this again. What is the worst that can happen?